So here I am, guys, back in LA once again for unfinished business. I think you remember last time I ordered all the front suspension for this Jaguar XK8. Even though it's only a 49,000 mile car, I mean, it feels like the front suspension's about to fall off. So I'm basically going to rip it all off, rebuild it all, put it all back together, and I'm sure it'll improve the ride no end. Also, there's unfinished business with the Mercedes 190 SL. Again, that sounds like when I go over a bump, the rear axle is going to fall off. It sounds like metal to metal. So that needs further investigation. I brought a few parts over with me, and let's see what we can do. At least the sun's shining anyway. So as always, let's jump in at the deep end and get stuck in. Now this is one of them jobs that we all tend to procrastinate over because it's hidden and out of sight. It feels like one of those thankless jobs that nobody will appreciate, but if you can motivate yourself to do it, you'll be glad you did, because when it's done, it can be one of the most rewarding jobs you can do on any car. Returning the feel, the ride and the drive back to when the car was new and fresh out of the showroom. So, it's safety first, out with the shock bolt. Loosen the top hat nuts. Undo the drop links. And then the upper wishbone. Little bit of improvisation. With my cheapo spanner set. Now you've got shims here and here, and they must stay the same because it affects the camber and the tracking on the wheel. So these have to go back in exactly the same places they come out of. Carefully. Oh, okay. Well, good luck with them, Gary. Move that wishbone over to the side and out the way. And out it should come. Put the bolts on a new top hat for safekeeping. And I'm around to the other side. Right, with that done, let's get cleaned up. Okay, so here as you can see I've got the old struts off in the complete form. I purchased these parts, I think this might be surplus to requirements, I don't know what it is. I got the proper Bilstein shocks, which I think are the best. And if you notice the difference between this bearing here and the one on here, these are completely and utterly goosed. So it's probably a good job in changing them. I don't know what kind of condition the gas is in them, but whatever, it'll be much better on a better set of shocks, I think, than what Jaguar were putting on. Yeah, there's your like bump stop for the top of the shock. I'll reuse this gaiter. And this is the top hat, which I think is really good quality. I got them from a place called BMA, just up the road. I suppose it's the equivalent to GSF or CES, as it used to be called in the UK. It looks to me like this piece here is this piece. So they'll be going back if the surplus to requirements. Because of the lack of resources and the lack of tools I've got here, I think it'd be a little bit dangerous to try and use the usual deadly spring compressors on the floor. You know, I haven't even got a vice here. So I struck lucky. I went up the road in this place called Ron's Tyres, and he's got the proper machine there that compresses the spring and does it all really safely. So for $100, I mean, you know, it's peace of mind and it's doing things safely. So I'm going to whip them up there to swap everything over, reuse the springs, which are really good springs, really good quality springs that Jaguar put on, not like the BMW ones I did the other week. And if you just look at this closely, you can see the difference in the thickness of this one to that one. That's just completely mashed. It's a bit like a vertebrae, I suppose. You know, when your back, when it crushes and compresses so much that you've got play in it and you've got pain and problems. So yeah, let's get these on, get them all back together, get them back here and get it on and finish the job, eh? Ugh. Okay, I could have compressed these springs myself, but I just thought it would be more interesting to show you an alternative and safer way of doing things. So here at Ron's Tyre and Wheels in North Hollywood, we meet Harriet. That just connects to the spring there. Mm-hmm. And that's, oh yeah. Yeah. I've seen them where they're like a steel box and they close up, but this is old school, this, isn't it? That's a polite way of putting it. Making sure it's the same configuration and lined up for easy refitment. That doesn't look in great condition, does it?
Okay.
Mm-hmm. So it's out with the old, in with the new.
All right. So this one is gonna stay.
Yeah. Oof.
Yes. Good.
And you know I'm not a fan of these impact guns. Most of us have been a victim of these at some time or other. If there's no rush, just take your time, do it by hand. But whatever.
Okay.
So the first one goes to plan. All good. On to the next one. How does that look to you? That looks a bit worn, doesn't it, the rubber? Good. No, it's no good.
Yeah.
Whoops.
Shit. Why?
Then on the second one, things seem to take a turn for the worst. Look, you want this, don't
Oh
you?
yeah, give me. Put some grease. Yeah, this. You see. It's tight. Alright?
Yeah, is that straight?
It goes on, it goes by itself down.
Yeah. It looks a bit curved, doesn't it?
Oh.
So take two.
Got it?
That looks good to me. What is it?
Yeah, is it?
So take three.
But why?
Because what Harris hasn't realised is, in order to get the spring straight, it has to be lined up at the bottom in the cutout of the shim.
Yeah.
It's a fair mistake, I suppose.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We find out, yeah?
Yep. Is it straight? Get out in the light. This is the cutout I was talking about.
See? This is on the line. Same thing.
Yeah.
What can I do?
Now, in no way does this show Harriet's inexperience. He's been doing this for many years. If anything, it merely highlights that even with specialist equipment and in the correct professional environment, it's a dangerous game, and things can still go wrong. Now all we have to do is put it all back together again. That's an anti-roll bar rubber. on the pole, on the rod itself. Just completely disintegrated underneath the clamp. So you have to slide the rubber along here, undo the bracket, lift it up, slide the rubber in, then put the clamp back down again. Because this is one of the main culprits of the knocking noises as well. I mean, just look at the state of that. It literally fell apart in my hand as I took it off. So it's out with the old and in with the new. See the bracket there? Just a little bit inaccessible. All good? So from the knocks and noises on the front of the Jag to the squeaks and knocks on the rear of the Mercedes. Now this is the noise I'm hearing whenever I hit a bump or a pothole on these terrible roads around LA. Now you can see this play here, being created I think by a compressed rubber up top. There should be a shim here, and you can see it's being crushed down over years of wear. And I think that's what's created the space and the play at the bottom. So jack the car up, put your axle stands in, and drop the shock. Now you read loads of threads online, which basically tell you to use spring compressors and all other different types of methods, but I've done these before, and I think the simple way is just place a jack underneath the trail arm, pull the pin out, undo the nut, and then as you drop the jack, the spring just comes out. It's nice and safe and nice and easy. Push the trail arm down and yank it out. Okay, so that's off eventually. So this here, there's the old one, there's the new one. You see the difference, this has all gone flat. That's nice and raised, nice and soft and supple, and this is like gone hard and crusty. It's probably about 50 years old, but probably the age of the car actually. Older, 70 years old, whatever. Now, obviously that goes in there, like so, and that's a shim, which is about 5mm thick. And I assume that goes there, like that. That just fits on top of the spring. I don't know what these are. It actually shows 3 of them. I don't know whether the shim is for when it collapses a little bit or the spring gets a little bit weaker. But I'll figure it out. I'll call a Mercedes-Benz Centre in Long Beach and just see what they've got to say about it. Because on the diagram, it just shows 3. This one, that one, and the thinner one. But there's definitely nothing that goes on the base of the spring. Everything goes up top, as far as I can work out. But I'll figure it out. Get all this cleaned up. Get it back on, clean the spring up, repaint it, and shall we get on, eh? Little clean up as we go along. And I know I've said before, but I just love this climate for classic cars. It's not even surface rust, it's merely dust. Now these trail arm rubbers are completely goosed, so I've got a couple of these on order. Again, these have probably been on the car since new. And if you think these old rubbers are bad enough going back in, wait till I have to fit the new ones. Then on to the other side. Oh, and I forgot to mention, when you're undoing the top mount on the shock absorber, you need a little Allen key here, otherwise it spins. A little bit of improvisation once again. Oh, no split pin on this one? Okay, whatever. Now just let me show you this new one against the old one. See how this is all compressed and flat on the top, and it's all gone crusty? Now look here at the new one, look how fulsome this is. It's probably about ½ an inch difference. It might be 3/4 of an inch and all with the shim. Now it might not seem a lot, but when you put it on the car and you look at the side of the car and how it sits and how it feels, it makes a massive difference. Now sometimes when you're jacking the trail arm up, it won't line up with the bolt. Now I'm not advocating this method, but this is the way I deal with it. That'll do. Now I'm going to replace those front engine mounts, which is situated on the front crossmember either side of the front of the engine, and are well past the sell-by date. So first of all I have to carefully jack the engine up and just take the weight off it so I can remove the mount. Now you have to be careful because the oil pan has the oil pump inside it and it's fragile. So I'm going to be inventive here and use the old top rubber I removed from the rear spring as a cushion. So here's the bracket that fits it to the block. And if you look down here, I'll show you the configuration. This goes with the big bolt into the engine mount itself. Then of course you've got the 2 bolts that go through here and fix it into the engine block itself. And then you've got these 2 bolts which fit it into the cross member. There you go. There's the old engine mount. If you come close on this, this is the new engine mount. And look at the difference in them in height. That's completely collapsed. So this is actually dropping your engine by, say, 1 inch in height, and it's causing the entire weight of the engine to rest on the steering box at the bottom of the column. which I only noticed the other day. It started to get a little bit stiff and I was thinking, what's this? And there was a little bit of vibration, and that's exactly what it was. Now you've got two at the front, one either side of the engine. You've got one under the gearbox, and I think you've got two more either side, or one either side, sorry, at the back. So there's 5 in all, and already you're into another 500 bucks. But what happens is when you start to use a car, when you get it like roadworthy and you start to drive it, and that these are the things that have happened, that will happen when you've had like a long layup, you know, of 20 years, whatever. Let me show you this as well. Now, I noticed the red light was coming on the dash. This is the old generator. It's probably 66 years old. It's the old type of alternator. So I'm gonna have to swap this out at some time with a new bracket and put the upgraded, you know, updated alternator on, you know, that we have in modern cars. And as I say, these are the things that just start to go wrong like a domino effect when you get the car roadworthy. And you've just got to go through everything as it happens, or try and preempt when it's going to happen. So yeah, there's always work to do on these old cars. And there we go, all cleaned up. Let's get it in. Now it might just be a little bit fiddly getting this back in, but you might have to jack the engine up just maybe 1/2 inch, just so you can slide the engine mount in, but don't jack it up too much because you could snap the bracket on the opposite mount. Now, in order to do the opposite mount, the generator or alternator needs to come out first to gain access. So I'm going to wait till I've sourced one, and then I'll do that then. It just makes sense. I mean, I could do the job twice, but where's the fun in that? So if we follow it down from the steering wheel, there's your steering column. Goes right down to the steering box, and you see this gap here. That wasn't there before. And that's because of the new engine mount. Before that, it had the entire weight of the engine just sitting on it. I should have taken a video from before to show you before and after. Anyway, that's another job done. So, let me just show you the difference now the job's being done. It was kind of sagging about 1 inch at the back. And look at this. Lovely and bouncy, fresh rubber, no knocking sounds. And what you notice is here, the distance from the floor to here is exactly the same as the distance from the floor to the front of the sill there. That's exactly how the car should sit. That's how it sat when it came out the factory. So now it's back to stock. And again, it's a job well worth doing. Pleased. And speaking about jobs being ticked off the list, try having no aircon inside the cabin of your car when it's a 98-degree heat. So I'll pop in to see my mate Armin at Funk Brothers Autos, who can check over the system, regas, and get me up and running again. Because when you're far from home, and in a place like LA where prices have gone crazy, it's nice to know you have a specialist garage you can trust and be charged a fair price. So after the checkup and a refill, I'm good to go. So I'm just about to drive over to a show over in Long Beach. Get me out of the garage for a couple of hours. It's a bit oppressive in there because it's like literally 98 degrees here. There's a show being advertised. It's not a show, it's like a cars and coffee meet of British cars. So it might be quite interesting. It's a bit of a drive, it's like over an hour to get there. But as I say, it gets me out of the garage and there might be some interesting stuff there. I'd be able to chew the fat with somebody, hear a few little stories. And you know, it just sort of peps the episode up a little bit as well when I go out and about. I know you guys like it. So, let's see, I don't know what to expect, but there could be half a dozen cars in there. Let's wait and see. And also this gives me a good opportunity to drive the Jag, because since I've done them jobs, this car literally drives like it's just come out of the factory. And as I've said before, this is one of those jobs that's well worth doing. The Jaguar doesn't look too bad amongst these. Jensen, isn't it?
Well, it is indeed, yeah.
When did you pick this up?
I had my neighbor, and he had a trailer, tandem axle trailer in the front yard that week, and I said, Scott, bring your trailer down to Carlsbad. We need to get this car home. So that's what we did.
Yeah. You sound like you're from my side of the pond.
Yeah, I was born in the UK.
Oh yeah, whereabouts?
Paddington General Hospital, and my parents had us all there for about a year or so, and then we moved to Bushy.
Yeah.
And then from there we ended up in Margate in Kent.
Yeah.
And from there we came to the UK and
US.
Yeah.
What did your family do?
Well, my father worked for Hilger & Watts, and they were very into making instruments, and they had done a lot of development on the Enigma machine during World War II.
That's top secret. You shouldn't be telling me this.
Yeah, well, it's all public info now, but back then it was a big deal,
Yeah, it's really interesting.
Anyway, so Timex brought him over to the States.
Timex watches?
Timex watches, yeah. So we ended up in Connecticut.
They were the thing of the 70s, weren't they?
Yeah.
1970s.
Yeah.
He's got a Timex watch for Christmas if you were
I was always wearing demos or prototype versions of the Iron Man and whatnot.
Have you still got them?
No, unfortunately.
Hindsight,
Either
what a
broke them or
wonderful
ruined
thing.
them. Yeah, that would have been something to kept onto some of those.
Can you see the engine, Andrew?
Yeah. This is the pride and joy piece here, because this was Colin Chapman's first production car to get a Lotus engine, was the Jensen Healey.
I've got a Lotus,
So it's got a Lotus 907 in it, and
I've got a Lotus Elite.
Yeah.
The 1970s.
Is it the slant 4 in that one? Yeah, I'm sure it is, yeah.
Wow.
So even so, the cam covers say Jensen Healey. If it was in an Elise or a Esprit or something, it would have, Lotus
looks like
slapped
a very
all
similar
over
engine, this.
So this has been out of the car, 4 times now, I should think?
Yeah. So these took you 15 minutes to put on?
Yeah, that was
quick, isn't it?
That's the latest edition, because I was getting tooth hopping on the intake cam.
Oh,
here.
so you've changed
I put
the cogs as well,
these HDT, whatever they call them, tooth timing belts. Which this is supposed to be. This is what the later 910s and 912 engines had on it.
These go smooth, don't they? These look brand new. You put
it's not more than a few months. This whole get up on the timing belt. I had Webers on it, but they were getting a bit tired, and they'd come off an Alfa Romeo Spider because the jets all fit. So I put these Mikunis on, and my God, the drivability.
Got a good engine, the Spiders.
It's just so much better drivability with these Mikunis. It's unbelievable. Yeah, 2 liter.
2 litre one. Yeah, a lovely engine.
It's a 1974. I always thought this was rather fun. It's a 1974, and it's 1,974 cc's. It's the same cc displacement as the year it was made.
Yeah.
Or 73 rather. Sorry, I keep getting my years mixed up. But
yeah, fantastic.
So,
what's it sound like?
Do we need to run it?
If you want, yeah.
Yeah.
As long as it's not going to embarrass you.
No. It's got a nice bit of valve noise, but.
Is it one of them wiggly key ones, yeah?
Yeah. Come on.
Well, that's your next job, isn't it? An ignition
a new
barrel.
ignition switch, I'm thinking. There we go.
There you go. Sounds nice.
Yep. So this used to be a Ram Air foam air filter that they sold for the Turbo Esprits, but the back Weber would keep dumping fuel out of the float bowl hole.
They do, yeah.
And it rotted the foam out about a year ago.
Yeah.
So I couldn't get them anymore. They don't make them anymore at Ram Air. So I fiberglassed over the 1/4-inch chicken wire.
Yeah.
And then I put this foam over it, and there's a K&N type conical air filter in that.
I've noticed over here.
Insulation for ducting.
The insulation that they use under the carpets over here is all this stuff as well, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's not very pretty.
No.
But I believe it's to do with the laws, the regulations.
But it kind of keeps the intake manifold, air into the carburetor is nice and cool, or at least as cool as I can hope it will be. Yeah. And so this was a recent addition to getting cold air into the engine.
And how far have you taken this? I mean, how far do you drive it?
Oh, well.
You go down to the Cars and Coffees? And
yeah, gone up to Ventura. That was a good 100 miles or more.
Yeah.
It's a good hour to get over here today, so I drive it pretty much every day to work.
You don't have any problems with the cooling?
Nope.
Nice aluminium radiator there.
Yeah, 3-row.
Extra fans.
I've got a expansion tank down here, so it sucks and pulls and pushes the fluid back and forth, which works pretty well.
Andrew, it's an absolute credit to you. Thank you for showing me.
Very good, yeah. Pleasure. All right, we'll kill her off.
And here's one for our friend Emin, whose BMW we featured last time I came over. How rare are these over here? You just never see them.
Want to get in?
Greg, I'm Gary, by the way. You don't have to wave your hand. Lovely to meet you. So you've owned this since when, the 90s?
Yeah, 97 is when I bought it. Well, actually, I traded another car for it.
Yeah, I used to work in a butcher shop when I was a teenager. I think age 14 to 19, whatever. I was a butcher, and the manager of one of the shops, a guy called Alex, had a red one of these, and it was an ex-post office van.
This last year, they had their 75th anniversary.
Yeah.
And they said they had somewhere between 700 and 800 Morris Minors there.
Yeah.
That would be really something to see.
Yeah. Do you know, I remember as well, I was thinking, I've got it wrong, I think. I was thinking before it had air brakes, but it was an air horn on the steering wheel. So it was like an arm that you pulled and all these horns went off. But they were really loud, you know.
Yeah,
I don't know whether it was original or whether it was something that was added on.
Somebody put it, that was an aftermarket thing, I guess.
And I remember we went fishing to Wales, up into the mountains in Wales, and a policeman pulled us over and we thought, oh no, what have we done? And he just wanted to get in it and have a feel of it and work the horns. We were standing there for about half an hour and he was like, this is my childhood, you know.
Yeah.
At least we got away with it anyway,
Memories.
Whatever we were running away from.
Yeah, memories.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's got some unusual features. It's got like a combination lock on the pull brake, the e-brake.
Yeah. Was this originally red?
It was originally blue, and it was in a market up by Santa Barbara.
What's a car like this doing over in this country? Because you don't see many of them, do you?
No, and it's left-hand drive, so...
Yeah, which is unusual, yeah.
Yeah, somebody imported or exported, whatever you want to say.
Yeah. These were like the bread and butter cars. These were what, you know, the normal average family, if they were lucky, could afford. And they got you from A to B. They weren't very fast, but they were practical. And they're very robust, and people used to rally them. Yeah. And they lasted and they stood the test of time, you know.
Now, with the Datsun motor and 5-speed, not the Grapevine I slow down, but on regular freeway and stuff, I can go 75 and 80.
Yeah, I notice your clutch is a bit sticky. Or is it automatic?
No, stick.
No, stick.
5-speed.
Yeah. No, I noticed you put it into gear before when you were parking, and it took about 5 minutes before it clicked in. And then you reversed.
Yeah, the clutch is kind of fussy.
Yeah. Nice old cars though.
I was going to get it painted, but...
I'll leave it the way it is. It looks great. Well, thanks for showing me your car anyway. Lovely to meet you.
It was very nice meeting you.
You know, I love coming back over here. And it always gives me a chance to catch up with old friends. Like this one. But I don't know, he seems a little bit revved up to me. And by the look in his eye, I don't know whether he's too pleased to see me, do you? Thank you for watching this episode of Classic Obsession. If you enjoyed it, don't forget to like and subscribe. And see you all next time.